Yo, what's good everyone? So we're going to be taking a look at this new champion Spiral and answering the question, will she be good for Battlegrounds? I'll spoil it now. Yeah, she's going to be very good for Battlegrounds. If you don't ban Serpent, you're definitely going to want her in your deck. She's designed to be a hard Serpent counter and she does that extremely well, maybe better than anyone. But she's not just a Serpent counter, she has plenty of utility that makes her very versatile, and she has really solid damage. On top of all that, she's really easy to play and has a fun playstyle. And you know, the debuff she relies on is Rupture. Barely anyone is immune to that. So just from hearing me describe her, you can already tell she's going to be a great champion, and she's borderline going to be a must-have for Battlegrounds in my opinion. So we're going to be jumping into Spiral's Battlegrounds rotation now and how to play her. The first thing you need to know is she gains Fever passives. The way you gain these Fever passives is by doing a medium attack, a light attack, a heavy attack, dashing back or blocking. But if you perform the same action twice, you will not gain a Fever passive. When you gain 15 of these Fever passives, they will pause for 10 seconds. After these 10 seconds end, your Fever passives will unpause and you lose 10. So you need to ramp them back up again. The reason these Fever passives are important is they increase the ability accuracy of your damaging debuffs. So it basically increases the chance you get ruptures on your basic attacks. I'll explain her rotation in the next fight. But first, we did 330k damage in 38 seconds and we didn't even get any crits on our special attacks. And keep in mind, Spiral will deal more rupture damage based on the amount of buffs the opponent has. And Winter Soldier has no buff, so this is the minimum amount of damage she does in her rotation. And we did 330k in 38 seconds. That will kill almost any Battlegrounds opponent. Serpent has like 350k health. So if you did that rotation, he'd only be at like 5% health. You can kill that with a combo. And that's a 40-second Serpent fight, because you can get rid of his death immunity, which we will get to soon. But anyway, this is how to play Spiral. You want to gain your Fever passives like I mentioned before. You can gain these in multiple ways. The best way to gain them is by doing a light, medium, light combo. And when you're at 15, throw your special 1. Then you want to work your way up to your special 2. And these beam hits will do damage based on the amount of ruptures you have on your opponent. So she's very easy to play. You just want to build up your Fever passives, go for a special 1, then go for a special 2. And this time we got some crits on our special attack and we did 410k in 38 seconds. We didn't get full crits on our special attacks, we only got a couple crits. And we did 410k in 38 seconds. That will kill any Battlegrounds opponent. That is insane damage. Now we're going to be looking at the 6-star. And we're going to be doing the same rotation. We do get some crits on our special attack, but this was the first fight. You know, this was like first fight I did with a 6-star Spiral, so I figured I'd just use this one. And you know, we got pretty lucky on crits. I don't think Spiral has the best crit rate after using her, because she doesn't crit super often on her specials. But luckily her specials do really good damage whether they crit or not. Last thing I need to mention about Spiral's playstyle though is when she uses a special attack, she will go into her floating sword form. I forget what this is called exactly, but while she's in her floating sword form, if you swipe up whilst holding block, she will shoot swords at your opponent, which will stun them and inflict a vulnerability. You ideally want to do this before you drop your special 2 to get the maximum amount of damage out of Spiral. It's a really cool mechanic. And with the 6-star we got 320k off the opponent with a couple of crits on a special attack. That will kill a rank 3 Serpent or near enough. It will kill most Battlegrounds opponent. So as long as your 6-star crits, you're still going to be doing very well in Battlegrounds with her. But if she doesn't crit, you're probably going to have to go for another special 1. And here I am showing a quick Serpent fight. You're about to see whilst we're in our floating sword form, which you get from throwing your special attack. As I mentioned, you can actually dex Serpent special attacks. And on top of that, when Serpent hits into your block, you will nullify his death immunity. So she's a hard Serpent counter. She can dex his special attacks as long as you're in your floating sword form. And she can nullify that death immunity, which is the biggest problem with Serpent. So yeah, she makes Serpent a potato, and it doesn't matter for me because I always ban Serpent. But if you don't ban Serpent, you're definitely going to want to have her in your deck. And she's going to be a great counter to Redskull because she has plus 100% ability accuracy on her parry. So this means she can always parry Redskull no matter how many armor buffs he has. So now we're going to look at some defenders Spiral will be good for. Of course, she's going to be one of, if not the very best Serpent counter for Battlegrounds. She's going to be very good for Hercules, because not only does she nullify death immunity buffs when your opponent hits your block, she will nullify immortality buffs, fury buffs, unblockable buffs. So if your opponent hits your block with an unblockable buff, you will instantly nullify it. So she can basically block unblockable attacks as long as it's a buff. As long as it's an unblockable buff, she can block it. She's going to be great against cosmic champions in general because her ruptures gain extra damage for each buff on the opponent. She's going to be great for Redskull because she can forever parry him, and Redskull has buffs, so she's going to get extra rupture damage. It's not each unique buff, by the way. It's each and every single buff on the opponent. You will get extra rupture damage. She's going to be great against Moore or any champion that applies falter to you because she is immune to falter. She doesn't bypass miss, but she's immune to falter, so she counters all that. She's going to be great for mystic champions in general because she doesn't gain any buffs, well, apart from the dexterity mastery, so she's not going to be feeding MD. She's not going to be getting nullified very often apart from the dexterity buff. She'll be great for Weapon X because a lot of her damage is rupture damage, and she'll be great against anyone that can heal because she has a ton of debuffs and you can shut off that healing with the spare. Not Weapon X's healing, but other champions healing. She should be pretty good for Onslaught. I don't see why she couldn't take Onslaught. You know, she doesn't crit that often, so she won't get that many neuroshocks on her, and her debuff is Rupture. That's one of the few debuffs Onslaught takes damage from. The champions you want to avoid are skill champions that shrug off debuffs, like Korg, Kingpin, Moleman. Any champion that shrugs Rupture debuffs or is Rupture immune you want to avoid. She will suck against these champions. But yeah, that's about it. Now we're going to see if she's any good on defense. Unlike Jack-O-Lantern or Scream, she does have some tricks up her sleeve on defense. Her SB1 can be pretty annoying to dex. It takes some time getting used to it, but when you're used to it, you know, it's not that hard to dex. You'll get it down pretty fast. But the main threat of her comes after she uses her SB1. She will gain a little icon, and if you use your first light attack while she is not stunned, she will hit you with those flying swords and stun you. So basically, after she uses her special attack, you should only do medium attacks or only do your first light attack when she is stunned. Otherwise, she's going to throw those swords at you. Her SB2 can be pretty annoying, but you know, it shouldn't do that much block damage, so you can just block it and partially dex it. But ideally, to fight her, you just keep her to her SB1 and stick to doing medium attacks. Only do your light attacks when she's parried, and she's not that hard to fight, but she does have some tricks up her sleeve. So yeah, she'll be a sneaky defender for sure, but I don't think she'll be a good defender for top tier Battlegrounds. She should get nuked pretty fast, but yeah, she definitely has some use on defense. But that's pretty much it for the video. I really like this champion, even though I will forever ban Serpent no matter how many counters he gets. I still like her, and I'd still really like to get her. I'd rank her up, put her in my deck for sure. I think that if you don't ban Serpent, you're going to need her because everyone else is going to be running her. I think she's a great addition to the game, and if you want to buy early access bundles, if you're one of those people who buys early access bundles, yeah, Spiral is definitely a champion to get. I think she could be the best champion of the year, but you know, Dazzler's coming out soon and she looks pretty insane as well. The champions this month are absolute bangers. But yeah, that's going to be it. If you enjoyed, leave a like, leave a subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.